Okay, so this is the second video. So welcome back. I took a review for the last video and I think it went pretty well. I should stop whispering or I don't know to throw a lot of pronunciation in the mic. So I'll do my best to stop that. So for the last video, we had an idea about what Terraform is, what it does, why do we use it, and where we use it, and how do we use it. And in the last video, we also mentioned how to install it. So we did the first step. So the first step, step one, was already done by us on our on our earlier video. But for today, we're going to have like a small overview of how to write clean code in Terraform. Why it is the best, are the best approaches, the best solutions, and how we can also maintain this, and why it is needed clean code in Terraform. I highly suggest everyone, not only the DevOps or developer or sysadmins, but anyone who works in the IT industry should be writing clean code so everyone could understand what you're doing, but also it's better for you to know what you're doing. So by writing clean code, I believe you are well more prepared for of how to do those. So if you write a clean code, it's easy for you to understand it. But if you make a mess in your code, I'm pretty sure most of us who, because I've done it before and I always do, and yeah, but when I write a mess or copy type something to Google and I paste into my code and it works and I leave it like that, but tomorrow comes or some colleague of mine or someone else will take a look at my code and will say, what the hell is this guy doing? So to avoid that, we're going to learn some tips and tricks on how to write clean code in Terraform. I'm just going to create a temporary. I think I have the DevOps here, right? Yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think you guys see too much information here. Yeah, I did not dox myself. Haha. mm, so I'm going to, for examples, yeah, this one is done, and yeah, I trust them, of course. It's me. So the first thing that we notice when we go ahead with the with Terraform is we're gonna recognize or we're gonna have a look in or to have a design of what we're going to do, what we need to do, and how we're going to do it. So I highly suggest everyone who wants to create something from scratch, it's better to do it from with pen and paper. I know it's old method, old fashioned, but that's how I'm used to, and I usually have like a pen and paper, and I did for this exercise what I'm going to do. So for this one, I'm just going to go ahead and create an Azure account or AWS account or GCP account, but please do not create an Alibaba account. I know it's cheap, but it's not worth it. So I created an Azure account, I got a subscription, the subscription ID and everything that is needed, and what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to create writing code for Terraform. So the first thing that I do is creating modules. What are modules? Modules are just like building blocks for our Terraform configuration. They are just small blocks. They can be virtual machine, storage account, storage disk, application gateway, container app environment, log analytics workspace. So everything that we can create manually in Azure can be done in Terraform, which are called modules. And the best thing that we can, let's say, organize it is that we can uh, make a little bit more extras. So I'm going to create a main.df file so you can have an idea of how we can add those modules into our main.df file. And yeah, first thing that you're going to need when you create virtual machines, of course, you need a virtual machine and subscription ID. But what is missing here? So you have the subscription ID and the virtual machine. That virtual machine, where is going to be first? It's going to be in a cluster or in some places, and that is called a resource group. So a resource group is just like a group where we put all of our creations, resources, like virtual machines, storages, etc. So for these modules, I'm going to call it resource group. So if you've seen the last video, you would recognize this right away. Why do we use this pattern of name, which is the underline resource underline group? So the first thing, for every module, you need to have a source, and the best way you can create, or I usually do it with the lowercase, so it's way easier. So I don't want to use capital case. So this is how you need to organize it. So you need to create a folder called modules, and then uh, another folder only for the resource group. So so I understood what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a modules folder first, and then I'm going to create a resource group folder next. And for that, I'm going to give it a name, why not, which is going to be called best resource. Okay, let's give it like, let's be more precise, rg tf dev ads east us 2. So if you have worked before, or you have an idea of the suffixes and postfixes and prefixes, you can understand why we use these abbreviations, which is for RG for resource group, TF for Terraform, DEV for the environment, X for exercise, and EastWest2, which is our location. So that is going to be the name of our resource group, and I'm going to give it a location. Usually it's done it like this way, but you can create the name abbreviations as you want. But I'm going to call this RG underline location, which is going to be East US 2. And that is how it's done in the resource group, and it's done. It's finished for me. This is how I'm going to call it in my main.df file, but something is missing, as you can see here. I'm calling the source, which it does not exist. So let's go ahead and create it, called modules. And I have had some extensions, so I suggest you do the same. So you can go to the extensions and you download some icons. Just a try icon, you can download it right away. So let me add another folder called resource group. Am I correct or I'm not? Okay, it looks like I was correct. And in this one, I'm going to create this file with this name. Yeah, I did, but did not paste it. Tf dev exercise east us 2. .tf. So don't forget, every Terraform file must have these extensions, else it won't be recognized by the system or by your Terraform cloud or your workspace that you are working on a Terraform file. So I created, technically it's not created that, but okay, that's what I'm telling let's say the my main.tf, what to look at and what it needs to do, and voila. Usually it will give me like when I create like a Terraform, you'll give me right away some some call it some autofill or autocomplete. I'm going to do that. So rg x how am I gonna do this? Yeah, you have to be some, let's say, a creative resource. Yeah, I'm really creative. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's what is needed. That's up for now. See, it's everything. The structure is done correctly. But you can always check the documentation of what you need to do or not. So that. Let's say that the resource group is done, is finished. That's fine. That's oh wow! It is giving me RG location. Okay, yeah, it's giving me 0 because you can see in the rg.df file, nothing is done that. But it's a good news because it means the source has worked. So let's go ahead and create another, let's call another modules, so we can have an idea what we need to do else. So let's say create a module, so I get my drawing. So okay, I created my resource group. I don't know if you can see this here. So I created my resource group, and now I need to put this somewhere in a subnet. But before I do in the subnet, I need to create a virtual network. Okay. So VNet is next to the resource group. So I'm just going to call this VNet, and I'm going to do the same thing. Let's do it like modules, but this time I'm just going to call it VNet. It's easier. And here I'm just going to call the name of my VNet the same abbreviation as I did with my resource group, and let's be VNet tf dev is us2. Voila. So, and I need to put this in a location. What kind of location do I need this to have? And it's easier for me on how I can do this in this step, because I have already created a resource group with its own location. So I need to be really precise, so I don't have to hard code it, the location of my VNet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be smart and call this the module of the resource group that has the location for me. So this is done dynamically, and this is like way better, so we do not hard code anything, or okay, we have to repeat it sometimes when we are going to have the other resource to be created, but this is like the best dynamic way, so you don't have to worry tomorrow what kind of errors, what kind of issues going to have. And okay, so what else? Usually when you create a VNet, you need some address spaces. So what kind of how to call the CIDR, what kind of IP ranges you're going to add into your VNet, how they're going to be defined, and this can define by your CIDR, which I don't actually remember the acronym name of CIDR, but let me search here. Abbreviation. Oh, I have on Spotify. Okay. No, it did not open. So it's classless interdomain routing. Usually it's called CIDR. I don't think anyone remembers really well. Okay, if someone remembers, it means that you worked with the CCNA, and I've worked with CCNA 5 years ago, and yeah, I did not remember the classless interdomain routing. And this CIDR number, you're going to define your hosts, your subnet, your VNet, which is really, really important. And you need to do some calculations. Usually Azure will give you, you can, if you do that in the portal way, it will give you some calculation right away. But I suggest you have other tools online, or if you don't like it, you can also do it with pen and paper and calculate the VNet. It's really easy, to the power 0 until to the power 7th. Okay, address space. Usually this one is I think this is called character strings. I mean, that's how I call it, but I don't know if other programming languages want it a different way. But yeah, you're welcome to say it. So I'm going to give it like a basic 16 CIDR. This will give you more space because this means it's going to be 2 in the power 4. And I have like 16 CIDR, and I'm going to start with a class B 10.0.0.0, which is awesome for me. I have this one will be really, really heavy, and I'm going to put this somewhere, right? Where am I going to put this subnet, this VNet? I'm going to put this on my resource group. But what is the name of my resource group? So I'm smart, and I'm going to create an output file for my resource. So I got the resource group, and I create outputs.df, and we are here in another introduction, in another step, that we are using the outputs.df file. Outputs file, the outputs Terraform file, is really important for us because this says to us, okay, I create this resource, but what do I need to retrieve from this resource? So in this resource, I need to retrieve the name, or the ID, or the VNet ID, some metadata. So those data I'll get here in the outputs.tf file. Everything is done here in the outputs.tf file, and the name for it is output, like that. So I'm going to be like rg name. So rg name is equal to module dot resource group. Okay, actually, it's Azure RM. I don't currently don't have that initialized, but I can give you like an example how it is going to be. Okay, I have to be. Pop, pop, pop. Oh, that was fast. Hope so. So if I go to the outputs.tf file, usually it will give me like an Azure. I'm going to call this from Azure since it's going to be created, and it's going to be Azure IAM. Usually like this, and resource group and so on. So I'm going to just copy and paste from my other files, which I'm going to show those later. But let me find first the R resource groups. Okay, yeah, and the name for this is going to be just like this. And yeah, you actually need the value. Yeah, it needs the value, and that's why it did not get the recognized right away. Yeah, so usually it's just like this. So I call this like a resource group dot name, and yeah, name dot name. And yeah, that's how it is usually called from the Azure IAM API, and this one will call it right away the name of it. I need to call this a dot. And yeah, I'm done with that. So I'm going to go here and okay, let me close this one. And I'm going to just call this the module of the resource group. And what I need to do that, I need to get the name of my resource group. And yeah, I've done finishing the VNet. So that's fine, that's how I've called it. So this is like my main.tf file and done from here. And okay, what else do I need to show? Okay, shit, I have not created the modules. Yeah. So on the modules, I also need to create another folder called vnet. And on this vnet, if you like, you can just. Okay, I haven't done anything here, so let me be vnet tf the cs2.tf. I don't remember the name. I don't really remember the name that I put it, so I hope it's. Oh, without the yes. Yeah, I almost remember. Yeah, sorry guys, it's over 12 a.m. over here. Okay, so that's pretty much for it. And here I can add a resource called vnet. It, I usually want to do it this way, but you can use whatever you want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if I go main.tf file, okay, let's make it synchronize, and yeah, it will get recognized right away. So this is good news. I've done finishing the VNet, and yeah, that's pretty much it. This is like the basics. I did not do anything huge, but I just added some small resources into my modules. But I'm going to show you also yeah, it is fine. I can show this to you. Virtual machines. Okay, let's put this in yep. So I'm going to create a resource for virtual machine. Dev east-us2.tf. And I'm going to be a bit lazy and just copy and paste from my files here. Yeah, don't worry for VM size, we can use the variable. So okay, this is a really important step that I suggest everyone should use it. Call variables.tf for every module that you have. So I forgot to do it earlier for blurs.tf for resource group, and I also forgot to do it for the vnet. .tf, and I'm going to make a root one for my main.tf. .tf, and boom. So I've added the variable.tf everywhere, and I can call. Okay, let me add on the virtual machines variables.tf, and that's fine for me. So on my VM, I created a resource called called the web server, and I gave it a name. I set up the location, which I got it from my Azure resources that I created earlier of my VM. Got the resource group name, the NIC IDs, network interface IDs, and also the VM size. So I put here, this is like a template that you need to create the virtual machines. So if you go to Terraform Azure Virtual Machines, it will give you like an example on at how they did it, or what is like, how you can add those, or what kind of data you need to read. So you need, in this case, you need the storage image, storage disk, OS profile, if you need to be in a Linux, and the tags. So in this case, I just say that the EOS profile, Linux config, which is you need the passport indication, and the OS disk, and the reference, which is going to be an Ubuntu server 18. I think it's 24, the latest. I don't remember which one. 24.04 or something like that, but I think it's 24. And yeah, so we are having some errors over here, as you can see. But if I go to my variables.df and I do it like this, the error is finished because it already catches the variable. And I'm a bit lazy, I'm just going to do some copy and paste. Plus it's 12 a.m. God's sake. And here, if I want, I usually don't type the real variable here, so I just put a description, VM size, VM username, admin, password. Yeah, so usually on variables you need only three values. You need the description, type, and the real value. So I want to put, as I said earlier, I want to put the value on the my root.tf. So I'm going to do here, just set the type, which of course is going to be a string. Da, 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 da. Okay. Password. Okay, usually I guess I knew that you can add a vault certificate for the password right away, so you don't have to store it as a string. Terraform variables passwords. Okay. Yeah, everyone does it with a string. Okay, it looks like I was right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that I was fine, and I put those here, and I can get the default value on the. I usually, yeah. Don't forget to format it, and this is one is done. And if I go to my VM now, you can see everything is fine, is perfect, is running really smooth. But yeah, so this is how I did it, and I did not define any values any here. So I'm going to go to my root.tf file, and I'm just going to add the let's say the value over here. So default is going to be test admin, and the password, yeah, test 2, and this is the password. Let me format it, and voila. So I don't want to use the value over here, so I can use it in my root file, so it's easier for me to access that. And yeah, as you can see here on my resource group, I have output.tf file, variable.tf. On my vnet, I have only variable.tf, and my virtual machines, I have the variables.tf. But what have we forgotten? Usually on the virtual machines, you need the name, you need the ID, and usually for the VNet, you need the ID and the name and everything else for the ID. But how do you get those values is with the output.tf file. So don't forget that. So for every modules that you need to create, you also need to create the file, Terraform file called outputs.tf. Also, let's do it for the VNet. Scheiße. 9. Scheiße. Outputs.tf. So for my VM, I'm going to get just the public IP. That's what I care for. Okay, let's call the value. Okay, I was right. Yeah, I think that it's finished. So this one is done from my end. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Why do we use clean code? It's easier to understand it and easier to maintain, as you notice. I don't know. Let me check OBS. It took me like 25 minutes to implement, to write it down and to understand what I'm doing, and also to validate it. So as you can see here, no errors, anything, everything is working smoothly. So that is how one of the first steps, how we write the clean code, and what kind of documentation that we did. We did not do any kind of documentation, but it's easier to understand, and how we created with the outputs.tf files, what we are putting them, and if you go to main.tf, you can also see the dynamic way on how we do that. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Today I just wanted to show you clean code in Terraform and how we can add those. But for tomorrow, I have a really nice surprise, and I'm pretty sure you guys will love it for the next video and for the next part of this playlist of Terraform. So thank you guys, and see you on to the next one.